So tell me, man, what are we on? The number 6?
Right.
Number 7?
I think I'm on number 7.
Yep.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, number 7.
Okay. All right. I'm going documentary here, and just a fun, weird movie I threw on. Glitch in the Matrix. Did you watch this?
Oh no, I scrolled by it in the was that Netflix a few times?
It's on the Hulu.
Oh, Hulu.
It's on
right,
the Hulu
right.
machine.
No, yeah. What is that? Is that
Okay.
We're in a simulation type of thing, or
We're in a simulation movie. You know what I mean? Like, you're not real. I'm not real. You're listening to this, whoever you are. You're real. I'm not. You're in a simulation. Let's just leave it at that. You know what I mean? It's by Rodney Ascher. He did Room 237. Ever heard of that one?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So he did the nightmare one, the sleep paralysis one. Do you ever watch that one?
Yeah.
He's got a cool style. I really enjoy his stuff. I didn't even realize that he was the director of this until I kind of threw it on. But basically, yeah, he's just kind of going in and talking to people who are all very. So basically, going back to what we were talking about in the beginning, he talks to a bunch of people who are on video with him, but they're wearing augmented reality disguises, basically, through some sort of technology, which I'm not aware of. But that's how we're all going to live in the metaverse. You know,
okay.
You know what I mean? So,
sounds about right.
Absolutely. So some of them are dressed as, one of them is dressed like friggin' Anubis, the god of Egypt or something. One's dressed like a crazy monster. A third one is dressed as like a mutagen man type situation from like a Ninja Turtles.
Oh.
So I think he had like 3 or 4 or 5 different people that were on, like, it's like a lot of the interview style of a documentary is via webcam Zoom meeting with a augmented reality avatar monster.
Oh wow!
Where it's different ones, and they're just different people kind of sharing their either life experiences or whatever kind of led them to believe that we are in a simulation. Some really interesting guys. One guy, he's like, I'm a Harvard educated engineer. I live in Los Angeles. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure we're in a simulation, for XYZ. One guy, he decided to basically create a spreadsheet and document any time he found any sort of irregularity or something that he couldn't quite explain.
Based on like the laws of reality just didn't add up. Type of thing,
right? So what he did, he's like, he would think consciously, like, orange fish. I want to see an orange fish.
Oh,
and then he'd be like walking down the street, and he looks up, and he'll see a Chinese restaurant that
has like an
called
orange fish in the logo, or it says orange fish. Oh, okay,
something like that, and he would be like, that's freaking weird. Like, so he documented all of these, and he started to see patterns, and he started to, and listen, is this a crazy person? Probably, you know what I mean? But like, it's pretty wild to watch this, take a look at this guy's spreadsheet, and you can see kind of like unnatural, weird patterns. And I'm not documenting. I can't really,
you can't verify if it's true or not. But I mean,
I'm not shared on the Google file. You know what I mean?
Like that was kind of the appeal of Room 237 too, where it's like this person might be crazy, but hearing they're crazy is also entertaining or interesting, right?
Right. And so a lot of the book goes into, they talk about, the glitch in the Matrix, they talk about, the Matrix films and how that kind of created a larger audience for like introducing people into the idea of the simulation. They have like Elon Musk clips where he's talking about it, where he's pretty sure he's one of the kind of bigger proponents of the idea that we're probably living in a simulation. It's funny. He's just talking to, old white people at one of the big tech conferences that's hosted, Google maybe every year or something. It's a couple years old. I'd watch these clips, but the people are just like blank staring at him like, what are you talking about? But just going into a lot of the film talks about Philip K. Dick and all his kind of craziness, and how he really fascinating. He gave a guest lecture at a university in the 70s, I believe. Was it 70s or early 80s in France? And he basically was just like, he used it as it was a talk, and he was reading like a prepared speech statement thing, but basically he was just explaining that I believe that we're in a simulation. I believe we're in a computer-generated reality. Wow. None of this is real. And I mean, I can't imagine I'm just some kid or whatever watching Philip K. Dick in the 70s on a stage just explaining how none of your reality is real or whatever. Right. It was very interesting. But Philip K. Dick really believed that. He the documentary goes into how Philip K. Dick really believed. If you're not familiar with Philip K. Dick, he wrote books that were
deep sci-fi. 2001
deep sci-fi, hard sci-fi,
all that shit.
Yep. So Minority Report, Total Recall, Blade Runner, all of The Man in the High Castle. Those are all stories that he wrote and that were kind of picked up and made into super popular media. So his ideas were really kind of groundbreaking for the time, and a lot of his stuff he believed was real. He believed that we were in an alternate reality where he was explaining that he had a dental procedure done where he was given a certain drug to sedate him, and that during that he had bursts of remembrance from a past lifetime or his current lifetime that he's living through. So he believed that he was living out he believed that he was in a reality very similar to a 1984 Man in the High Castle, a authoritarian government reality type situation, that he was getting vivid bursts of memory. And that is what he was using to write his books. He just wrote what he was remembering. He didn't think he was imagining storylines. He thought he was remembering like things that he's experienced.
Wow.
Yeah, not even just things.
Wow.
Like, it's pretty wild, man. So I mean, he was explaining that the Man in the High Castle. I knew a black-haired woman would approach me and explain to me that she's from a parallel dimension or alternate reality in which
Hitler won the war.
Hitler and the Japanese win World War II, and that we are in a simulation of a fiction of that. You know what I mean? So like it's wild. I encourage everyone, if you're open-minded and want to just have a weird time, check this documentary out. I could go on and on about it. I just thought it was really fascinating and interesting. So give it a look, watch it. It's introducing a lot of interesting things. I've often thought we were kind of in our own realities, that we're in a first person. I've always kind of, I don't know.
It's the whole, like, is my blue your red or whatever type of like, you can't actually tell what other people are, how other people perceive the world or whatever.
Right. No one is as deeply sympathetic enough to basically understand how people think, and a lot of paranoid schizophrenic psychotic behavior is done by a lot of people. I mean, it's wild, but like glitch in the matrix thinking has been attributed to and used as a defense in a lot of murder trials and stuff, apparently.
Interesting.
Because they were explaining, like, people have a kid in Fairfax, Virginia, kind of around the time we were growing up. Remember, he went and he killed his parents.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely heard of several
like
murder suicides or whatever over the years, ever since the Matrix
he's featured in this. Yeah, he's featured in the movie. Wow. Interviews with him. And yeah, right where we grew up in Fairfax, Northern Virginia, right outside D.C., this kid was obsessed with the Matrix movies and decided that he was going to kill his parents, basically, because they weren't real and they were abusive and whatever, and it didn't matter because they weren't real, and he's part of a simulation, and he wanted to find Neo and do the whole thing. He bought a trench coat and the whole thing. So I mean, it was wild. But basically, there's been a lot of different people who have kind of either done horrible things, Grand Theft Auto style, kind of just going, I don't believe it's real. I think we're living in a simulation. It doesn't really matter what I do. You're all just NPC, computer generated people that I can kill and not worry about it because you're not real. So it's kind of going into the psychology of how people get there. And even the simulation related whatever subreddit got shut down a couple years ago
because it was like just contributing too much to
he was like
delusion.
Because I looked it up and I was like, it was hugely had over 100,000 followers or whatever. I thought, and he was like, hey, I have to shut it down. I'm locking it. Like, this has just become a place for crazy people
Wow.
to find other crazy people and gaslight each other into
God.
thinking that we're in some sort of, whatever. So he was like, I'm locking it down.
Wow, that's so fascinating though, that it's just like that, like, such a I mean, I guess that makes sense, because that is like one of those like existential questions, like how I'd be interested to see how do you talk someone off that ledge or whatever, because it's like, how do I prove to you that this is real versus not real, right? That's the question to everyone, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
So that they talk about, into the religion of that, and Philip K. Dick's kind of thinkings on religion and all that kind of stuff. And, what do you believe, and how your faith is kind of shaped by how important it is to make people think there are repercussions and certain and punishments for things. And they go into the if people knew we were in a video game, right? It's the idea of morals and right and wrong and whatever. Like, if you wanted to create rules for people to follow because you didn't want everyone just going on killing sprees, you would create a belief system,
like a moral code.
Like, because one of them even casually remarks, like, my uncle would always, or my dad or my uncle, he said something one time where he was like, oh, I wish I could just kill you, I wish I could do this or that, or he made some like remark where his, the person being interviewed or subject was like, you basically, you're admitting that you would like to do all these things and you don't do them out of fear of the repercussions.
Right. Society tells you not to, so you can't act on those.
Exactly, right. Like, that's the only reason we're not all just killing and stealing and raping each other, is because we think that, and we know that we'll be held accountable.
Yeah.
Right? But the reality, it may be that there really is no way to do that, and then just it's very interesting.
Oh yeah,
it's kind
of
sounds
like a mindfuck.
It's going. It's a bit of a mindfuck. So I recommend not getting too baked and watching that one. Maybe just try to enjoy a nice time. Ash fell asleep through it, so if that gives you any indication of how enthralling it is.
I must say it sounds way more interesting than the actual Matrix, but I'll suppose we'll get into that later.
Oh, we're gonna get into it.